They say there's no place like home for the holidays, but really, there's no place like a smart home for the holidays. With intelligent thermostats to keep you toasty, Google Nest cameras looking out for Santa, even motion sensor floodlights to make your hearts all aglow. So shop the Home Depot for great savings on the latest gear you need to make your home smarter, to make your home merrier, and to make the holidays yours. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
This is ContactTalkRadio.com. Consciousness in action. And you are taking action into your consciousness by tuning into Contact Talk Radio.
And on TuneIn.com, Ping.fm, and UpSnap Mobile.
Contact Talk Radio.
I used to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully. Aging gratefully.
Broadcasting from the rolling hills of the beautiful Tennessee Valley, from the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains, across this amazing nation and spanning the universe, you're listening to Aging Gratefully. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, bringing you exceptional guests and novel information to ensure you age great, live full, and embrace each extraordinary day for the incredible gift it is. Welcome, everyone, to the Aging Gratefully Show. We broadcast every Friday on the CTR network at 11 a.m. Pacific time. Welcome to Aging Gratefully, most amazing listeners around the world. So happy you're joining the show today, and I'm excited to be with you. It makes me smile. I hope you'll join me as we get this smiling spandemic going, grin fest across the miles like only we do. It's our signature pose here on the Aging Gratefully Show, and life is better when you're smiling. That's a fact. So wear a smile and share a smile. That is one thing we all agree on. We have and welcome listeners from a variety of beliefs, faiths, and ideologies. On this show, we don't push for your acceptance of what we share. Our goal is to impart thought-provoking notions and ideas so you can decide for yourself. Hopefully, these shows stay with you long after you've listened. Many guests download them and keep their favorites to play them over and over again. I feel it's important to be inquisitive students of life with a thirst for more, throwing out the confining barriers of a box mentality of what we're willing to contemplate, because we never know when something new we never were aware of can be introduced to us that can literally be life-changing. I'd like to think that aging rebels are inquisitive fortune hunters extraordinaires. I don't know. If you out there have seen some of the shows where I've been a featured guest on other shows covering my many topics, but one I speak of is called Fortunes of Aging. In this, I talk about envisioning our ancestors, embarking on their great adventures or traveling to new lands long, long ago, and how they would load up everything they owned into these great, big, massive trunks. Can you see them at a port or train station in your mind's eye, aging rebels? Their journeys were long. They were dressed for adventure. The conditions challenging, and their luggage was heavy. There was no Samsonite on the scene back in the day. Nope. There were these big, clunky chests, no wheels for ease of mobility or convenience. So they had to be very selective because that luggage, it got heavy quick. Their life was in this chest. They loaded up everything that mattered. Whatever held meaning to them, it went inside that trunk. I feel like we too have a virtual trunk that we carry around much like they did, founded on hope, inspired by dreams, and built on aspirations. And when we look inside ourselves, we see inside that treasure trunk of life all we've acquired. If only we take the time to open the lid, we find our many years and wealth of accumulation. It is breathtaking what's inside this trunk of ours, and you hold and have earned the key. Let's make the word key this week's Aging Gratefully show dedication. Key is literally, it's one of those words I so love. It's a unicorn kind of word in that it is a noun, it is a verb, it is an adjective. In verb form, it means enter or operate on, as in like data by means of a computer or keyboard or telephone keypad. In adjective form, it means of paramount or crucial importance. And in noun form, it means a small piece of or shaped metal with incisions cut to fit the wards of a particular lock, which is inserted into a lock and turned to open or close it. So you use this key, Aging Rebels, and slip it into the lock of this virtual treasure trunk of yours. Take it in. Wow. It's almost blinding, the awe-inspiring emeralds of empathy, these jewels you've acquired, pearls of passion, gems of goodwill, opals of opportunity, garnets of grit, and helenite of honor, wavelite of wisdom. It's all there, waiting for us. But some of us have tucked this chest away and forgotten about it. Maybe it got too heavy and clunky, so it sits there under lock and key, holding all those precious gems. We put lots of things under safekeeping in life, sometimes even our own emotions, our own sense of self-discovery, our own feelings, and even worth can slowly go under lock and key over the years due to challenges we encounter. Which brings us to this week's Aging Gratefully Alphabet Soup for the Psyche. Quote, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter the defeat so you can know who you are, what you can rise from, how you can still come out of it." That's by Maya Angelou. But what about that virtual treasure chest you locked up long ago and stored for safekeeping? It's been bestowed exclusively to you with all the virtuous gems and fortunes of aging and living, laurels that are you, your certificate of birthright that nobody can take from you, for you are here, born to live this grand life, be in this amazing gift of life, the miracle that you are, we are, I, me, you, today's amazing guest, a sheer miracle. And I mean that by the absolute definition of a highly improbable event, development, or accomplishment that brings alongside with it very welcome consequences, simply, well, really not so simply, by being born with our 1 in 400 trillion odds of that incredible achievement. Take that miracle in. So let's start celebrating ourselves and all we see in this virtual trunk of accomplishments. That virtual phoenix rising gold-laden trophy that's tucked in there from that thing you triumphed. You deserve that trophy, that jeweled up this and that. They're all yours. So cheers to life and cheers to you and all you do and continue to be and what you bring to the world and others around you. There is little room to question your awesomeness, Aging Rebels, but I know we all do sometimes. There are influences all around us that certainly try to persuade us. But with the key you hold, remember, you never come up short, powerless, empty, inept, incapable. No, that doesn't mean life is simple, not always easy, hunky-dory. It doesn't mean we don't face days of incredible challenge, endure pain, suffering, grief, loss, strife. We do, and it's life. And life is beautiful, like a bird's elegant melody on a cool spring morning. And life is messy, like someone lost out of our control and we just can't fathom how. And life is grand, like so jubilant it fills your soul with love kind of moments you don't want to end. And life is unpleasant, but we face what we must and overcome and persist. Life is all kinds of crazy, amazing, unpredictable, surprising things. But mostly and thankfully much to our luxury, life is now. So the sooner the better that we dig in deep, realize our personal quarry is one we've been mining our entire life. We're ready for what life brings, what it holds. And when we look inside that illusory treasure chest, we don't see impossible anywhere. We instead see I'm possible everywhere. We realize we have been acquiring, aspiring, collecting, developing, polishing, shining, and mining these rare gems so we can be this, radiate this, illuminate this today. And it is you that holds the key to this exclusive abundance you already are. Remember that. What if also, though, that key to your treasure trunk were a super special key, and it could also do something else? Open something else. What if that key could also unlock limitless wisdom and creativity and solve all of life's challenges? Wouldn't that be great? Today's guest would have it no other way for you to be consciously paying attention to this opportunity to put you in the driver's seat of your life, consciously conscious with the key to that ignition. Well, put on your driving gloves and buckle up, aging rebels. I'm so excited for this ride, and I bet you are too. Today's guest says if you are struggling or unhappy in any aspect of your life, chances are you've made a choice that wasn't tuned into your conscience. But no worries, we've all done it. Now in a novel new book by Leonard Perlmutter, Your Conscious, the key to unlock limitless wisdom and creativity and solve all of life's challenges, gives you the key, or if necessary, shows you how to pick that lock and how to give your conscience sway in your life so that all of your decisions support and guide you to act in your highest good, leading to a life of joy, love, peace, and both personal and professional success. Leonard is one of the Western world's pioneers in the introduction of meditation into the cultural firmament, having founded the American Meditation Institute, AMI, in Averill Park, New York in 1996. AMI's courses are now approved and accredited by the American Medical Association and the American Nurses Association. Leonard also serves as the author and editor of Transformation, the Journal of Meditation as Mind-Body Medicine. Leonard's first book, The Heart and Science of Yoga, the American Meditation Institute's empowering self-care program for a happy, healthy, joyful life, is an encyclopedic guide to meditation and the yoga science that lies behind it. Over the past 25 years, Leonard has served on the faculties of the New England Institute of Ayurvedic Medicine in Boston, Massachusetts, and the International Himalayan Yoga Teachers Association in Calgary, Canada. He has studied in Rishikesh, India, and is a direct disciple of Swami Rama of the Himalayas, the man who in laboratory conditions at the Menninger Institute demonstrated that blood pressure, heart rate, and the autonomic nervous system can be voluntarily controlled. These research demonstrations have been one of the major cornerstones of the mind-body movement. Leonard has presented informative workshops on the benefits of meditation and yoga science at the MD Anderson Cancer Center, Kaiser Permanente, the Albany Medical College, the New York Times Forum on Yoga Science, the Commonwealth Club of California, the University of Wisconsin School of Nursing, the Washington University Medical School, the University of Colorado Medical School, and the West Point Association of Graduates. And of course, how excited are we to have him on the Aging Gratefully show today. I have a website for you. I want you to check him out. Please go to www.americanmeditation.org. It is with great pleasure to welcome you, Leonard Perlmutter, to the Aging Gratefully show. So happy you're with us today. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's my honor. Thank you very, very much for the invitation.
Oh, my goodness. We're so excited to have you with us today. And congratulations on your new book, Your Conscience, the Key to Unlock Limited Wisdom and Creativity and Solve All of Life's Challenges. Well, my goodness, I love your title. And these are big promises. We all want this.
Yes, we sure do. But how are we going to get to point B from point A? That's the big question.
Well, we're in the car and we have our driving gloves on. And so we're ready for this trip. We are. So absolutely. Very inspiring. And speaking of inspiration, curious, and I know that our listeners are, what inspired you in the direction of the work you currently do?
Well, I've always been very philosophically oriented and also very practical. As a child, that led me to join scouting. I joined the Cub Scouts, I joined the Boy Scouts, and it was a neat way of learning practical skills that made life endlessly interesting and rewarding. And one day I had an opportunity to speak to my scoutmaster, and I reminded him that the scout motto was be prepared. And I asked him, be prepared for what? And he looked at me with a quizzical look in his eye, and he said, well, how would I know? That's why we need to develop these skills. And that's the way I look at the world. I had a automotive mechanic years ago, and he taught me something very, very important, and that is that if you have the right tool, every job is easy. And so
yes.
Ever since then, I've been trying to collect worthwhile tools to help me in the far range of kinds of relationships that I had. Some are wonderful and easy, and some are challenging and difficult.
So you have a treasure chest and you have a giant toolkit. You have all kinds of things that you are carrying around in your life. And really, we all do, don't we? We're all collecting.
Mm-hmm. That's right. You bet.
Really neat. I love that you are very philosophical. And very important that we do kind of look at life so that we're learning and growing and leaning into life, right?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I bet scouting really did help you. It let you connect with the earth and really plays into the work that you do today. So I'm really appreciate that you shared that with us. And so you talk about getting there from point A to point B, and your book, Your Conscience. Can you define? Let's start small. What is our conscience?
Well, it's not what we thought it was. It's not the angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. The conscience is part of the hardware of the mind, and the conscience is the only function of the mind, and there are 4 of them. The conscience, however, is the only function of the mind that discriminates, determines, judges, and decides. And when I learned that, and I began to experiment with that, it was a game changer for me and my life. Because what it meant to me was that every single choice I have ever made, and every single choice I will ever make in my entire life, has been and will be made exclusively by the conscience. And when we follow the promptings of the conscience of what to do and what not to do, gosh, we feel pretty good, don't we? We feel better. And if we don't listen to the conscience, a lot of time we don't feel well. But the conscience is the only function of the mind that can make a decision. All the other functions of the mind are simply advisors to help the conscience make a decision.
Wow. So how did you get to the point that you were able to uncover this wisdom and knowledge?
Well, I relied on the scientific experiment, one after the other after the other. You see, when information comes to us through books, interviews, television, the internet, all of that information is simply hearsay. So if we really want to discover and uncover the truth, we have to all be doubting Thomases and rely on the scientific method of personal experimentation. And so what I found was the best way to do that was to turn my entire mind, body, and senses into my personal laboratory for experimenting in the midst of every single relationship that requires an action that ultimately brings about a consequence that can bring me the health, the happiness, the security, the loving, nurturing relationships that I deeply desire in life, or will delay the prospect and instead leave residues of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual dis-ease or pain.
I like that word dis-ease because it already tells us what we're signing up for in and of the word. And it is so important that, and I think that we live in such a fast-paced society that it's so common that we overlook what information we're receiving. And I say that a lot on the show, and I know that listeners are like, you say that a lot, but I really want it to sink in that we're receiving information. We're just hitting Control-Alt-Delete and not listening. And I think that's the point that you're trying to make, is that if we listen, we are actually, there's awareness that we should be capable of receiving.
I believe that that's really true, and consequently, in the experiment process, I consider every thought that comes into my awareness as only a suggestion, not a command. Mm-hmm. And I use my conscience to determine whether I am going to be led for my highest good by giving that thought my attention. Because I look at thoughts as if they were embryos, and my attention as the capacity to gestate a more complicated form. What does that mean? The more attention I give to that embryo that I call a thought, at a certain point of attention, I'm going to speak in service to that. And with even more attention, I'm going to take a physical act in the world in service to that original thought. And every action on every level, whether it's physical, verbal, or mental, brings about a consequence that can determine the trajectory in which my life is headed.
Is that how the whole premise that we see out there, how thoughts become things, manifest?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Now, you talk about the four functions of the mind. Is that what you already touched on? And if so, can you repeat them again?
Okay. Now, this is critically important because the mind is our most powerful instrument. No one can even raise their hand without first entertaining a thought. So that means that the mind always moves first, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. The mind moves first, and the body simply follows. But once an action is taken, there's always a consequence. So there are 4 functions of the mind. First is the ego. Now, the ego is not what we have learned in Western psychology about vanity and being full of oneself. No.
Okay.
Ego actually is hardwired to the reptilian brain. And because it is hardwired to the reptilian brain, like the reptilian brain, ego is only concerned with self-preservation. You know, I don't want to die. I don't want the form not to exist. And because of that intense attachment to the form and identification with the form as me, ego has a tremendous fear of annihilation. To overcome that, ego insinuates itself in every relationship that we have. And when it is face-to-face with a relationship, the ego cuts it in half and says, oh, this is very pleasant. I like this. I think this is good. Let's reprise it. And over here, oh, this portion is very unpleasant. I don't like it. I consider this bad. I want to eliminate this. So the ego perpetuates an attachment, I would say addiction, to things we like and things we don't like.
I would say ego is a great judger.
Yes, it's very judgmental. It's very judgmental, but it's all based on fear.
Okay.
It's all based on fear. And so we all know that that which is pleasant isn't always good for us, and that which is unpleasant isn't always bad for us. But if I allow the ego's advice given to the conscience to hold sway, then a lot of the advice is going to be faulty. Not that the ego is always wrong. You and I need right now, Holly, we need a strong, healthy ego to have this kind of conversation, to drive an automobile, to drive a truck. We need a healthy ego. I don't want to get rid of the ego. I want to train the ego. I want to parent the ego, because I love the ego, to a new horizon, a new way of being that's not so myopic, not so small and minuscule. But even though the ego is often wrong, it's never in doubt. And it's loud, and it's pushy, and it's insistent.
Okay, and we'll do the second. Let's do the second one, and then we'll do 3 and 4 on the other side of break. So,
Sure.
whose ego is the second one? Ego's buddy or nemesis?
Oh no, buddy. They're allies. They're allies. Because the senses also is looking for the pleasant. Okay, so the senses are the conduit through which our mind projects our creative energy. So our mind extrudes our creative energy through our eyes and our nostrils and our mouth and our ears and our hands and our feet in a desperate attempt to find happiness, to find security, to find health outside of ourselves.
So the second one is senses?
Is senses. And the senses are nearsighted.
So the senses are like the scout. They're the scouts.
They are the scouts, but they're nearsighted scouts, so they can only see the front of pleasure without seeing the back of pain.
Okay.
So they take us on wild goose chases after rainbow after rainbow after rainbow in search of that pot of gold that never appears.
Oh, wow. They're lousy scouts.
Well, they're just nearsighted scouts. We can train them. We can train them. We can give them
because this
glasses.
we're works in progress here with this. Yeah. So yes, we are on a quest. Okay, this is very interesting. So there's 2 more. We're not So we've learned ego and senses, and there's two more.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about the other two on the other side of break. Today, we're so grateful to be with Leonard Perlmutter, talking all things, giving your conscience control of your life for betterment, that is, and we're learning this. Don't go anywhere. The other two on the other side of break. His book, so interesting, Your Conscience, the Key to Unlock Limitless Wisdom and Creativity and Solve All of Life's Challenges. You can learn more about him. I want you to visit him. Visit www.americanmeditation.org. So definitely go there and check out all of the things that he's doing. And also, I know you out there love our show's theme song. For new listeners, that is Jim Beloff's Aging Gratefully. You can find it on iTunes and Amazon Music. Go visit his website at fleamarketmusic.com. He's got so much stuff there. And you know what? They're saying we need to shop early for Christmas and the holidays that are upcoming and any gifts that you may have. You can find so many novel things that he has there. He is a world-renowned musician. He has beginner books for ukuleles and things like that there. He has ukuleles as well, but he is just mad musician skills. And so he has a lot of fun stuff there. So I invite you to check that out at fleamarketmusic.com. He's been on the show a couple times, and I love his music, and I appreciate the song Aging Gratefully, and you guys love it too. So special thanks also to you, Aging Rebels, for having our show recognized 3 years running as a top show on aging on the entire planet. You rock and you role model. I know I tell you that every week, but it just never gets old. And thank you for downloading the show on Audible, Amazon Music, Alexa, Apple, and the show reviews. If you love this show, please share it with us and leave us a review. We really appreciate that you do. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, and we'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Rick Cleveland from Florida. I'm aging gracefully and loving life, listening to the Aging Gracefully show with gerontologist Holly Kelly. If you miss it live, do what I do. Subscribe to the podcast and never miss a show.
Everybody needs just the right amount of fuel to get going in the morning. For some, a nice McDonald's egg and cheese bagel is just enough to do it. Others might prefer a McDonald's bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. Or perhaps a sausage, egg, and cheese bagel. And there are those where nothing will do but a hearty McDonald's steak, egg, and cheese bagel. 4 different breakfast bagels to get you going. Tomorrow morning, give your engine a head start at participating McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The Ladder Life Planning Institute is the ultimate guidance for life's inevitable destiny and your path to passionate aging and inspirational advanced care planning. LLPI offers tools that educate, inspire, and enlighten. Live vibrantly, plan thoughtfully, age dynamically. Visit LLPI for business and individual consulting services. Professional and keynote speaking, books, workshops, education, webinars, and resources. LLPI is here to transform your ladder life living today. Visit them at ladderlifeplanninginstitute.com. Live extraordinary, age dynamically. Visit ladderlifeplanninginstitute.com.
Hey employers, ready to cover more and save more? When you bundle United Healthcare Medical with our life, disability, dental, and or vision, your medical plan costs may drop. Plus, you'll be offering more of the benefits employees want. For more details, visit uhc.com/bundled. Minimum participation requirements may apply for bundling programs. Benefits and programs may not be available in all states or for all group sizes. Components subject to change. Insurance coverage provided by or through United Healthcare Insurance Company or its affiliates. Administrative services provided by United Healthcare Services, Inc. Health plan coverage provided by or through Optimum Choice, Inc. or United Healthcare of the Mid-Atlantic, Inc.
How do I listen to the Aging Gratefully show? Weekly. Hi, everyone. It's me, actor Chris Toomey, popping in that commercial to remind you that whether you listen live on Fridays or catch the show on your favorite player, to definitely make the time in your week for the Power Hour of Enlightenment. You won't be disappointed with each week's fresh new message of positivity. You can listen, share, subscribe on Holly's host page. Just visit www.ctrnetwork.com/Holly Kelly. And now, back to the show.
Thank you so much, best listeners in the world. Welcome back to Aging Gratefully. I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly, here today with our guest, Leonard Perlmutter, who shows you how to give your conscious control in your life so that all your decisions support and guide you to act for your highest good, leading to a life of joy, love, peace, and both personal and professional success. And you know, who doesn't want that? We all want that. We want to live our best life now. That's why you listen to this show, and that's why we meet here every single week to strive. And we are works in progress, headed in the right direction. And so I know we're so excited about finishing learning more about this. But before we do, I just also have to do our listener shout out. This one from Julia from Great Britain, who left us 5 stars and wrote, "Such a warm and inspiring show. You can hear the warmth in Aging Gratefully presenter Holly Kelly's voice as she hosts this show and interviews her guests. If you want to be an aging rebel and continue to live life to the full, it's well worth tuning in." Well, we love Great Britain. I have to say thank you for our listeners there. Really appreciate it. And I know I give you a promo code usually for my book. And because of shipping, I do a promo code for our guests that leave the reviews. And in honor of those guests, I always have to do the continental United States. And I feel so bad leaving our international listeners out. So I'm doing a new promo code. And this one is Aging Rebels because you know, you guys are awesome out there. So this is Aging Rebels. I'm going to do it through 1/31/22. And this one will be $50 off a consulting session on my exclusive Bucket List Living Launch Consulting session. So go to hollykelly.com. It's going to be a maximum of 10 of those through 1/31/22. Use the promo code Aging Rebels for the Bucket List Living Launch Consulting, $50 off. And so that's something that can help our international listeners take advantage of that. And so I really appreciate that. We actually we charted in Kenya and we charted in the Philippines on Apple. So I mean, we just really appreciate our international audience. And you know what else we appreciate? Oh, my goodness. Today's guest, he's amazing. Visit him at americanmeditation.org, and you'll find free weekly guided meditations and satsang every Sunday. He leads a 90-minute free guided meditation and satsang via Zoom. And how you can find that is at americanmeditation.org/Sunday-meditation. And the seated meditation is something that it's known as a mantra meditation, to my understanding. Can you elaborate on this ancient form of meditation practice and its benefits, Leonard, before we return to our other dialogue?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation provides us 4 essential skills. First one is one-pointed attention, the capacity to focus our mental energy to one point, to one object, to the exclusion of all other distracting thoughts. And why is it so important, this one-pointed attention? Because this one-pointed attention immediately creates a space between stimulus and response. Now, in that space between stimulus and response lies what? Lies our freedom to act in our best behalf. So when I have one-pointed attention, a space is created between stimulus and response. That space provides me the freedom to check with my conscience to determine if this stimulus that is appearing in my awareness, be it a thought, a desire, an emotion, a concept, whether it's to be served in mind, action, and speech or not. And if I can listen and follow the wisdom of the conscience In the process, I will also be creating the muscles of willpower. So what are the benefits of meditation? One-pointed attention, detachment from stimulus, discrimination, creativity, wisdom, and willpower that we can then apply in every single relationship for a successful life.
Very nice. And you offer this every Sunday?
Every Sunday morning, Eastern Time, 9:30 to 11. It's free,
Yes.
and then that's followed with a recording that you can use during the week.
So awesome. That's free, everyone. So incredible. So thank you for that. And so so we were at our ego, who's our
It's the agent of the reptilian brain, always splitting things in half, pleasant and unpleasant.
Sort of judgmental, fear.
Very judgmental, often wrong, never in doubt.
Senses, which is our nearsighted scout.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And so number
wasting
3.
a tremendous amount of our creative energy. And then the third function of the mind is the unconscious. This is the repository for everything that you and I and every human being deems essential to self-preservation. All our memories are in the unconscious mind. Some are pleasant, some are unpleasant, and also our imagination for the future. That's all there too.
Okay.
And the unconscious mind, the senses and the ego, they have no power to make a decision.
This is barricaded. This has a key on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So the ego, senses, and unconscious mind, even though they're often wrong, they're never in doubt, but they cannot make a decision. So in order to influence the conscience of their limited perspective, they're loud, they're pushy, they're insistent. They create a tremendous amount of noise. And when they create so much noise in the mind, the conscience cannot perform its stated purpose. Its stated purpose is to act as a mirror, to reflect superconscious wisdom from the superconscious portion of the mind. That's beyond the conscious portion. It's beyond the unconscious portion. It's the same portion of the mind where Albert Einstein saw mathematical equations, where Paul McCartney hears beautiful melodies. Not that we're going to become songwriters, not that we're going to become physicists, but if you and I can use our conscience and get buy-in from the ego, senses, and unconscious mind, then the conscience can reflect superconscious wisdom into our conscious mind.
Is that 4?
And then we can think the thought, speak the word, and take that action, that superconscious wisdom action, that's going to lead me to fulfill the purpose of my life without pain. However, if the ego, senses, and unconscious mind are not trained to defer to the wisdom, the superconscious wisdom of the conscience, because the conscience is really the only function of the mind that can make a decision, when there's so much noise and anarchy in the mind, the conscience can merely rubber stamp the loudest voice that it can hear.
Ooh.
And that gets us into a whole lot of hurt.
So conscious mind is 4.
The conscience is the 4th function.
Okay. So the magic happens when you were speaking of Einstein and Paul McCartney. The creative is in 3, is in unconscious memories, imagination, and all of that.
The wisdom is reflected by the conscience.
Oh, so it's 3 and 4 working. Mind. It's 3 and 4 working together, making magic.
Well, I wouldn't say that it's 3 and 4 necessarily. The ideal is for 1, 2, and 3 to support the 4th.
Okay, it's the whole package.
Yes. They need to be coordinated and work in
that makes
harmony.
So that really makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey,
okay.
We're a holistic organism.
Well, and it also makes sense when you said the loudest voice.
Yes. So we have to train the ego to say what they have to say, same with the senses, same with the unconscious mind. Let them express themselves, but then train them to be quiet enough so that the conscience can reflect superconscious wisdom from the superconscious portion of the mind.
Okay. And so this is fantastic education on the inner workings of this, and one would need to know this to move forward. So how help us get there, like, you know, in the
okay.
I know in the Cliff Notes version, you know, help us understand how we would now use this for our betterment.
Let me give you an example, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So say we just finished dinner. So we have a decision to make. So what do? I call a meeting with the ego, the senses, the unconscious mind, and the conscience. And we meet at the kitchen table, and we're all seated around the kitchen table. And I play the role of the moderator because I am the parent of my mind. I am the parent of the ego, senses, unconscious mind, and the conscience. So when we're all together, I say, as the parent, coordinator, look, we just finished dinner, and the question before us is, are we going to brush our teeth or are we not going to brush our teeth? And I like to call on the ego first. What is your opinion? And what does the ego say? It's very unpleasant. I don't like it. I vote no. Okay, well, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that truth, your truth with us. And now I'd like to call on the senses. And what's your perspective? And the senses say, well, I don't know about brushing of the teeth. I'm not that familiar with that practice, but I know that I loved the dinner, and I especially loved the dessert because we had apple pie, and that's my favorite. So I vote no for the brushing of the teeth, but I vote yes for a second piece of apple pie. Oh, well, thank you very much. And if you can just now sit down, I'll ask the unconscious. Now, unconscious, what is your perspective? And the unconscious might say something like, oh, I'm with the other two. I'm going to vote with the ego and the senses. You know, very often we form a voting block because that's my habit. Okay, well, thank you, unconscious. And now I'm going to ask all three of you, ego, senses, and unconscious mind, to sit quietly, and I'm going to ask the conscience, in this quietude of the mind, to reflect superconscious wisdom from the superconscious portion of the mind, and then share that wisdom with us. Conscience, please present. And the conscience might say something like, well, we all know that this life is not really a sprint, it's a marathon. It's a long marathon. And what do we need for this long marathon of life? We need strong, healthy teeth, strong, healthy gums. We need a strong, healthy immune system. And then the conscience says, if we can just take a time out for 2 minutes, go to the bathroom, brush our teeth, that will go a long way to provide us strong teeth, strong gums, and a strong immune system. So I take that cue from the conscience and encourage all four of the functions of the mind to go into the bathroom as we brush the teeth. And then we come back. We come back to the kitchen, around the kitchen table, and again, as the parent moderator, I invite each of the senses, ego and unconscious mind, to share what they experienced. And ego, I call on first. What did you experience? And the ego says, I was very surprised because generally speaking, I define all change as some form of death to me. But it wasn't so bad, and I didn't die. So I like that. So not too bad. Okay, thank you very much. And senses, what do you say? what did you experience? And the senses say, well, I thought it was going to be terrible because I couldn't have my second slice of apple pie. But after we brushed our teeth and the tongue was gliding over my front teeth, it felt so clean. I didn't feel that mossy feeling on my teeth that I really dislike. So it was rather pleasant. And unconscious mind, then I say, what did you experience? Oh, it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so bad. So what just happened? I, as the parent of the mind, have just provided an easy, no-brainer type of an experiment for the ego, senses, and unconscious mind to experience a pleasure where previously they were afraid they would experience pain. They trust me more. They also trust the conscience more. I've created a little beachhead in our relationship. And then they're more open, more susceptible, more willing the next time I present an easy experiment. And remember, an experiment isn't forever. I can tell that to the ego, senses, and unconscious mind. But I know that they're going to enjoy it. That's been my experience. Not only have I felt better physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually each time I use the conscience as my guide, but my ego has enjoyed it. My senses have enjoyed it. My unconscious mind has enjoyed it. Their panoramic view has increased from a very small, narrow sliver of reality to a broader one. And so they're more willing to act holistically in coordination with the conscience. And that's where the music in life starts.
So it sounds like, and with just a few minutes left in the show, for listeners to really understand what practice is important here, it really sounds to me like it's important to awareness, being extremely mindful of your thoughts, which function of your brain really may be kind of holding that strength or that power within you. And I'm understanding that through meditation, we can start to really achieve some balance too. Are all those things pretty accurate?
That's absolutely correct. And in the process, we update the software of our own mind.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So very fascinating. And I know that we could spend hours on this, and I'm curious, what is your hope that people receive? Obviously, it says in the title, but what are you hoping? I know that I love the key on the front of the book, and, tried to use that for a prompt for my opening monologue, but your conscience, the key to unlock limitless wisdom and creativity to solve all of life's challenges. And I can see how this really can unlock our challenges. And because we are literally using this practice that you just shared at the dinner table, we are the moderator. I can understand how this could actually be a practice that people can incorporate into their own lives. But what are you hoping to achieve that the book will do for your readers?
Well, to be very honest with you, I don't want anybody who is listening to this to believe a word I have said. No, I want you to be a doubting Thomas like I have been. And I want you, if you are interested in anything that you heard, to bring it into your own life and experiment yourself. Only then will you know, and you'll know that you know the truth of what is going to bring you health and happiness and security and loving, creative relationships in your life. Otherwise, you remain dependent on people outside. Not that they're always wrong, but how do we know when they're right? Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
Don't listen to me Experiment in your own life and know the truth for yourself and become self-reliant.
It's personally empowered, and I love that. Yeah, so wonderful. And that's being a savvy consumer. And I feel that that's so important today. And so our hour has been fascinating, and I really appreciate you going through this with us. And again, I invite people to go to your website at americanmeditation.org and take advantage of all that is there. So interesting. And the guided meditation on Sunday, the satsang via Zoom that you do 90 minutes for free. And you know, what fun would that be? So really just thank you so much for being our guest. And we can't have this hour with you and go so quickly without knowing how you age gratefully.
I try in every relationship to age gratefully by going to school on Jiminy Cricket's advice years ago when I was a child, when he said through Walt Disney's magic, let your conscience be your guide.
So beautifully articulated. I love that. And I think that's wonderful advice. And I really appreciate you doing this work and bringing the conscience to the forefront. It's so important. And
well,
it's important.
You're doing some pretty special work yourself.
Oh, thank you so much. I received that, and in gratitude.
You're doing marvelous. It's just terrific. It's a great gift to all of humanity. You have no idea the kind of people, the numbers that you're really reaching. You know, you drop a pebble into the pond, lots of ripples. You can't even see where they go, but there are many beyond your imagination. So, my hat's off to you.
Thank you. In gratitude, I received that. Thank you so much, and we return that to you. We really appreciate it, and cherish that you've been our guest today. And we wish you the greatest moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Same to you. And you've been listening to Aging Gratefully, and I'm your host, gerontologist Holly Kelly. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed our message, I invite you to subscribe and share it with others. May you remember to never act your age, and that age is just a number. And may you enjoy and embrace the coming week in the spirit of gratitude. Until we meet again, here's to living your best life now.
I used to think time was my enemy. My future wasn't looking good. So worried about the things I couldn't see. I couldn't see the things I could. I was aging fearfully, worrying my life away, when all along I should have been thankful for every day. Finally made a friend of time. Now you could say that I'm aging gratefully. Aging gratefully.
All right, we're here with Nina, who is hosting a little Tuesday get-together.
And she has gone all out.
Yep, she's done the fancy charcuterie thing.
Look at those solid maple serving boards.
So classy.
And those gold rim side plates? Gorgeous.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And she got it all at Marshall's for way less.
Even the cheese?
No, not the cheese, but that to die for sequin top.
Marshalls?
Yep, Marshalls. Fabulous brands.
Feel good prices at Marshalls.
With Lunchables, you can build a cracker stack